There's been a new interview about the future of Diablo 4.
There was an interview done with Diablo 4's producer, Rod Ferguson, talking about the future of the game, as well as public test realms and microtransactions within the game. So let's go ahead and break down that interview. So the first question was about Season 2. Why was Season of the Blood effectively the most well-received by the players? And the answer to this one was, well, it's a combination of things. The first thing he says is that Malignant Hearts, basically the Season 1 mechanic, wasn't as approachable as the Season 2 mechanic. So the average player would be able to get the vampire powers and understand the vampire powers, which were the season mechanic, much earlier than in Season 1. This would make sense because the vampire powers, you just had to...
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I think that they were both pretty easy to get.
Click to unlock, whereas the Malignant Hearts, you had to like RNG your way into the drop, put it into the item, etc. So that one I can understand. Now the second point here I think is a larger point too, which is that the Season 2 with the Blood Harvest helped them understand what to do with the Hell Tides. So the Hell Tides are kind of a boring farm in the beginning when the game came out, but the Blood Harvest was actually well received. And he continues on to sort of explain that you can slay a multitude of monsters and the feeling of power, that we worked hard to optimize the engine, optimize the art to be able to turn that dial up when it comes to basically the density of the monsters. So in the beginning of Diablo 4, there was a mob density complaint. People were saying there's not enough monsters on the map, and the Blood Harvest was one of the first times that we actually got to feel like we're chewing through a whole bunch of monsters, and that is what...
Yeah, the Blood Harvest, I remember playing it myself, and I was like, God damn, I wish the entire game was like this. I had so much fun doing that. I actually liked playing Season 2. Season 2 was fun. Like, I got level 100, and I did everything. It was great.
Referencing here that the Blood Harvest was a success in terms of what they should take from that and put into the Helltide. They should take the monster density, and they should take the mechanics of like summoning the councils and the legions and stuff like that. Now you might wonder to yourself, well, why did it take them this long to figure out that people want to kill more monsters? This has been a feedback point since the...
I think that they held off on it. They didn't want to do it. That's the reason why. They were trying to avoid doing that because they were worried that it like having to fight huge amounts of monsters removes a lot of nuances from combat, and I think that's true. And I actually would like to have like less monster density and more impactful, meaningful interactions with monsters. But the problem is that Diablo 4 just didn't work out that way in practice. Like, it was a good idea to start with, but it just didn't really work.
Beginning of Diablo 4. Mob density is not a new conversation in ARPGs.
Oh, yeah.
Surely they would know more monsters, people will be more happy about that. And that's what he gets into next here. So this first bit is basically him just saying that in Season 4, you're going to notice there's a significant amount of increased mob density, and that they're trying to increase the pace, basically, of the game, because that's the feedback that the players have said they've been wanting, is more mobs. But he goes into describing basically why it's not already been accomplished. He says it's not easily done because every extra monster you're putting on screen is something that's eating at the performance. And
you have to understand that you need to load the bank of every monster and also every stash tab and every item that that monster could or could not have in its inventory at the same time. So yeah, this definitely tracks, guys.
And those sorts of things. So we have to come to a system and go, okay, we want to increase the density by 10%. Then we have to go and optimize the engine, optimize the art to get there, and try to find...
I think this is like such a... I hate this argument because like PoE doesn't have this problem. Like there's like huge amounts of density in PoE and like we don't have to deal with this. Like, so if you make an engine where it doesn't work, that's your problem, not mine. Like, I don't give a fuck.
Smart ways to do that.
Yeah, that's
so
like,
what
that's
you're
like the
seeing
worst
through the
argument
seasons,
that you can make.
You're seeing the density get more and more and more, and I think it's coming to a good place in Season 4 when you see how rich the Hell Tides are. Now, performance being an issue in relation to ARPGs is not something that's new. In fact, in Path of Exile, when I play it, if I'm playing Blight or something and there's a million mobs on the screen, the resolution gets dynamically scaled or becomes really laggy if I do not dynamically scale the resolution. And so this has definitely been an issue on multiple games, but it's not the first time Diablo 4 has run into tech issues. For instance, we have the stash loading problem where it took forever for us to get extra stash storage because we're literally all loading each other's stash tabs. And what we found out of that is the players basically don't care what the reason is that something hasn't been accomplished. They only want
this is not like, and this is a problem that I think some developers have, and I think Blizzard has had this problem a lot before, where they try to appeal to basically empathy from like the players. Like the players should feel bad that Blizzard has to deal with something. Like we don't really care that much about like why something isn't working. We just want it to work. That's it. Oh, it's not working? Okay, we'll make it work. Well, we can't make it work. Okay, we'll try harder. That's what you're paid for. Yeah, it's the same way as like Blizzard. Blizzard doesn't care why you don't have money to pay your WoW sub. If you can't pay the money for the game, you can't play the game. They have the exact same paradigm. Works both ways. It does.
Become accomplished, which makes perfect sense to me. Players don't get paid to develop the game, so if the game gets in a state that people enjoy it, then the players will be positive about it. If the game is in a state in which people don't enjoy it, they won't be positive about it. So when the Season 4 comes out, I mean, we saw from the PTR, people were already liking the Helltides. I myself like the Helltides, even though I have basically massively disliked the Helltides the entire time. It's factually an improvement. So because of that, I think when Season 4 comes out, if the mob density stays pretty crazy, people will be grinding it like it's Blood Harvest. It's effectively the fastest way to level now in the game, and the Helltides might have done a flip from really annoying to farm to actually enjoyable because of the density and the added events we will see. So the next thing in the interview was asking him about what the season theme is going to be. And he says the theme was not tested within the PTR. He doesn't...
Who gives a fuck about the theme? Just make the items good, make the gameplay good. Like, the theme, I don't know. It could be unicorns, or it could be... I don't know, Pokemon. Like, just make the game... who cares?
Know the exact date yet, but we will find out what the theme will be in the next couple of weeks. Now, we have covered this on the previous video, but there was basically a data mine, and WoW had covered this. You can check them out, too, in which they end up describing a Iron Wolves type of theme from the data mine, where there's items and reputation system and all of these things in relation to what we saw with the upcoming theme. And then Pez Radar says this: I think most people have seen some of the things that are going to go out regarding in the season in PTR. We'll be adding some light to those items in the upcoming stream, and a majority of the work has been built around the theme of this new season. That's a Loot Reborn, as this is a greatly changing the game going forward.
Yeah, the theme of the season should be that the game is rewarding. That would be a crazy good theme. That would be nuts.
Both Eterno and Seasonal as the start of new D4 experience as we head into the Vessel of Hatred. So I think most people have seen some of the things that are out. Could be referring to the data mine, so people are kind of assuming that the Iron Wolves is correct. And there was a significant amount of Iron Wolves related data mined items. So I don't know why there would be a whole flood of those suddenly coming into the game if it wasn't an Iron Wolves reputation system, or at least items and quests around it. So that's probably what it is. Now, Season 4 comes out May 14th for the people that are wondering. So the next question was basically about the PTR. Can we expect a PTR for more or less every seasonal update? He says it's a good question, but it's a to be determined. Now, basically, the breakdown of this whole paragraph is if it's a major thing, like the itemization changes, if they're after...
I'm not a PTR enjoyer. I hope that they... Because, like, I think it hurts the hype of the game, and it makes it less exciting whenever a patch comes out, whenever people have just played the patch on the PTR.
Adding new crafting systems, if there's new major updates to the game. In those scenarios, then what they're actually going to be doing is doing these PTR updates. However, otherwise, with minor updates, etc., we should not be expecting a PTR for every little thing. More or less a non-answer, but not a we won't see any more of these. It's a we'll probably see some of these, but for now, we'll just have to see. He also mentions that he doesn't like it's only PC right now, but it's still a technical issue for them to solve. He does say something interesting. He says, one of the ways we've been trying to grow Diablo is to make sure that we really lean into console play as well as PC. You can definitely see elements of the game are designed for console players.
That's a good thing, as long as the console play doesn't mean that the game's worse because of it. I hope that it's playable on console. Absolutely, that's a good thing.
He goes on to say that they're having problems basically with the console ecosystem, that their certification process just makes the public test realm and all of the testing even harder than
I think that's bullshit. That's not the real reason. They can't figure it out for PC either. Like, I mean, WoW isn't on console, and they've had these problems on WoW for 10 years. Like,
to be. So this next question's actually an interesting one because something they have said about microtransactions in the game is that basically the best looking stuff is stuff that you have to earn in the game. But as the game goes on, the better and better looking stuff is either attached to their battle pass or a straight up purchase. So this is more...
That's crazy. Who could have ever predicted that? If only there was somebody 10 years ago pouring salt on his head, telling people, do not buy into this. I tried, guys. I tried so hard. And nobody wanted to fucking listen.
Less what his question is about. It seems to be going the other way, where now the most attractive looking items in the game are straight from purchases. So he says he wanted the clear answer in this. Shop items that can be earned or easier to purchase. So what's the deal with presenting a dilemma to players who just want to earn the cool stuff? Gonna be honest, I don't like his answer on this one. So we're gonna go...
You can't like the answer because the answer is that, too bad, we're gonna keep doing it. Like, he's just gonna give a roundabout answer that doesn't mean anything. And at the end of the day, it's going to be the same shit. It's going to keep happening.
We're going to read this one through because it's interesting. What we're trying to do with like how they interpret the teasing from Campfires is a little bit of both. If you were to look easier to acquire, at least from a purchase perspective, like we just released these class bounds where you could get 2 different looks for a much cheaper price. So we did one for each class, perhaps less than half of what our top armor stuff normally goes for.
You know what that's called? Perhaps less than half of what our top armor stuff normally goes for. They have just created an anchor price in order to justify undercutting something. But the truth is that none of these have any real perspective value. It's all subjective and they made everything up. I can't believe that anybody would be stupid enough to buy into this. Like, oh, well, we normally charge more, so it's okay. Well, why are you normally charging more? It's because you made up that number too. You'd be surprised? I know. Yeah, I know. I'm not surprised. I know people would do it. Yeah, for sure. You can't believe it?
So we wanted to find places...
Okay, I can believe it.
...for people to use the shop at a lower price point. So he's talking about price points here. He's like, well, we're making it cheaper, but it's not really answering the question. So if you continue, he says, we're also doing some stuff, this idea of personalized discounts, which is the other part, which we're kind of excited about. Other games have done this to where they look and say, based on your play, here's something that might be relative to you in terms of discounting. So basically, they're going to take the information they know about you as a player and offer you things to purchase based upon what you seem to be doing in game. This still isn't kind of...
Yeah, exactly. It still hasn't really answered the question, but they can't answer it. That's the reason why they don't, is because they can't.
Answering the question of, what if you want the game's best looking things to be only based upon gameplay?
Yeah, that's
so he
not
says,
gonna
and
happen.
so look, he goes, and so like, here's 4 different levels of discounts on 4 different types of things. And again, it goes back to the notion of trying to find ways to make it also more approachable or easier for people to get into a lower price point if they're interested. But it's all cosmetic. They don't need to get it. They don't. It's all about how they want to look. Again.
And that's fine. The thing is that it's fine if they want to do this. Like, I'm okay with a game that's being continuously developed having microtransactions. Sure, but you want to have things that players can work towards and earn too in the game. And if you don't have that, I feel like that really sucks.
Diablo being
Especially,
the ultimate power fantasy.
And it's not, yeah, this isn't a free-to-play game, right? I mean, this is a $70 game. It's a $60 game. It's a lot of money.
And kind of like, how do you want to play? How do you want to look? So there's no power in any of that. It's all about your vanity and playing with your power fantasy. So I don't like this answer personally, because this point of Diablo being the ultimate power fantasy and kind of that, how do you want to play? How do you want to look is true. But if the how do you want to
look is the way that you want to look like a way that's in the store, then the way that you have to do it is you have to spend money. Yeah.
Look is 50% of that he's saying here.
I just wish that like he could be like, listen, we got a lot of people working on this fucking game. We're trying to release these seasons 3 months at a time. We need the money. We gotta sell some of these to be able to pay rent. Okay, like that's just the way it is. And like if he said that, I'd be like, yeah, all right, yeah. I mean, like fuck, it is what it is, right? But like, what's this fucking play how you want, different discount levels? Like, come on. What are we playing games for?
And it's locked behind a paywall, then they don't need to get it. They don't means that you're only expecting people to care about this portion, the how do you want to play. So I don't really understand his answer here, if I'm being quite honest, because the how do you want to look, he's right. It is part of the power fantasy. So then why are you saying you don't need to buy it? They don't. Well, if you want to look that way, then you do actually need to buy it. And people aren't saying that they want a discount for it. They're saying that you want to earn that stuff in game. Again, I'll bring up the concept of you had gauntlets that could have given out rewarded cosmetics, or the gauntlets maybe could have given out rewarded premium currency if you really want to do it that way, but it didn't. That was a design decision to purposefully not reward paid cosmetics for basically the best players in the game. Even mobile games, you can look at Classic.
Man, so the best cosmetics don't come from the raid, they come from like the store? Man. Have they ever done this before? That's crazy. This is the first time. Yeah.
Clans, even mobile games, will give out premium currency for being good at the game, for instance. This isn't something that happens in Diablo. So if
that's actually a really good point that he's bringing up. That like some free-to-play games are more generous with currency than this game is that you pay for. That's a really good point. Like Star Rail. Like you can probably get like every other character if you play regularly and do your dailies.
You want to look the way you want to look, and the way you want to look is the stuff you have in the shop, and you have to buy it. So I'm not necessarily a fan of this answer in particular. And it gets a little bit worse with the answer, in my opinion. So he says, I think we're talking about the notion of making cool stuff that people can earn. That's an ongoing conversation. At the beginning of Diablo 4, we were very focused on that kind of staying authentic and staying grounded. Okay, that's good. As with each season, we're kind of getting more comfortable with, okay, our launch is over and we've had our authentic moment.
See, I like this because they're basically saying, yeah, we bait and switched you guys. So, at the beginning we knew you'd care more about it. And like now it's like, nobody gives a shit as much anymore. So now we're adding in more shit. It's like, all right, now we're having a real conversation. Now I'm talking to a real guy. This isn't a PR agent. It's not some sort of like, run around. It's like, yeah, so we thought we could get you guys with it now since it's been a while. It's like, yeah, pretty much. I get it. Okay.
Now we can start to turn the dial to be a little bit more fantastic. This basically just means, okay, we decided not to have a ridiculous amount of paid cosmetics, but now we can turn the dial up on that. Like, this doesn't really read well
it doesn't.
as a player, in my opinion.
It doesn't.
So I think you're
if you're a player, like, and you read that, it's like, and as I said, I would vastly prefer this to, oh, well, we care about you and we want to give you as many options as possible. And, there's so many different bundles that you can buy. Like, if they want to say this, like, that's fine. I don't really care. Like, nobody really cares about the cosmetics, guys. Like, everybody, like, pretends to care about this. But, like, the real reason why people are mad, you want to know the real reason? It's because nothing else is happening. Like, the game isn't that good. That's why people care. People didn't care about the WoW cosmetics either because they were happy with the game.
Starting to see that in some of the shop exploration we're doing, like Lord Eater, there's some interesting skins there. Now, I've said before, cosmetics don't bother me unless and I'm cool with them selling cosmetics. I am. I think it's fine to sell cosmetics in the shop. The only time when I don't like cosmetics being sold in these games is when the cosmetics look objectively better than any of the gear really you get in game. And basically what he's saying is before they were staying authentic.
Yeah, I'm a lucky guy. Like, I am a Frazetta Conan the Barbarian enjoyer. So the baseline barbarian armor totally fits that fantasy. And I'm never going to need anything else. Yeah, I want a helmet with horns on it, a loincloth, a chest wrap like this. It's like leather. And, maybe a pair of boots with spikes on them. And that's it. We're good. I'm done.
They know the shop stuff will look worse. But now the shop stuff is starting to look better, more fantastic, I guess is the way he's describing that. So he says, I think that's the type of stuff you also see become part of the earnable stuff, as well as we look at our seasonal journey and how to improve the season journey, how we look to include new types of cosmetics, the way you saw in Diablo 3. So there will be some interesting stuff on the horizon I think you'll be excited about. We're always trying to find the right balance in terms of what is earnable. We want to be cool things for people that can earn, which I think you can. My brother doesn't spend a dime and he looks cool when he's playing with me. And I try to basically buy everything. You can still earn really cool things. In my opinion, sort of missing the point that if all of the cosmetic like improvements are being focused on the shop, I mean, how many really in-game earnable cosmetics have we had outside of like the bonus seasonal stuff that has shown up, right? With like the Midwinter Blight. We haven't really had a lot of like massive improvements in terms of what you can look like in an earnable aspect. Most of these are tied to the shop. So anyway, he's kind of missing that.
I feel like this is just the way they're going to monetize the game. That's it. Like, I don't know why they can't just add in a few really cool items that you can get every season for actual gameplay that are like flashy. Why can't you do that? I don't see why, like, because I'm not asking for them to get rid of the store. Like, they have to have the store so they can keep paying for the development. I get it. But, like, can't we just get a few of them, though, right? I mean, like, why can't we just have, like, can I just get, like, a really, really big, like, golden greatsword? Like, that'd be awesome. Just put that in the game. You do know why? Well, I don't know. Like, you know, I really don't. Like, I feel like cosmetics like that make people play the game way more. And especially like high-end players, it keeps them invested for way longer.
Point a little bit here. However, he does point out one point that I think would be a good W in terms of this conversation, where he says they were looking at the season journey and how they can improve the season journey. Now, if
I really don't care about the season journey, and I didn't even click the buttons to do my season journey last time I played this game. I feel like season journeys are battle passes, and they're boring and formulaic, and they're not interesting to do. I don't care about them. What do I want to see? I just want to see different things that I can farm and work towards in the game. Like, it's not hard. Have it to be where if you kill Uber Duriel, Uber Lilith, and I think there's another boss that's kind of hard now, like Uber Varshan, after you kill all of them, you get a special weapon or you get like an armament. Why can't you just, I mean, I'm not asking for anything crazy. Just like a couple of weapons. Like, that's literally it. Like, think about Lost Ark, right? Lost Ark is a Korean pay-to-win grindfest MMO, dog shit, fucking microtransactions out the ass. But the weapons that you get, like, you can buy the weapons with in-game currency indirectly, right? That's like buying blue crystals. But the difference is that a lot of the things that they add into the game, the actual weapon glows do mean something. Like, it's not like you can just get a good weapon glow because you've, you know, what do you call it? Just because you bought it on the store. It's like these are levels of your weapon. I don't know why they can't just have something like that. Now, obviously, that's pay to win in itself, but I think it's much different than just buying a skin.
Add on the season journey, just the free, you know, the free season journey that we can all do, right? If they add in their ways to like store up and save premium currency so you could 100%. Buy stuff out of the shop, or if they add like, let's say the previous season skins in there or something. So maybe if you want to buy, you're just buying the cosmetic a little early, but if you wait for the next season, farm the next season journey, then you could get it. Well, in that case, it's significantly improved in my opinion. So if he does go down the rabbit hole that he's saying here about looking at the season journey and how to make it more earnable, then that would be a decent solution. So then he kind of makes a joke and talks about unicorns. Like,
one of the reasons why I don't like the season journey and battle passes is usually the battle pass or the season journey makes me engage in content that I don't really want to engage in, that is more or less monotonous, annoying, or I'm just simply not interested in it. Like, for example, like there's like bonuses for PvP, or you have to do 50 of something. Like, I don't want to do 50 of something. I want to beat something that's really challenging and then get the reward from it. I don't want to do 50 of something. Like, just let me farm for that thing directly. And I don't know. I think there's like a lot of games that like try to, it's weird because like It's almost like they don't want people to not do the content, so they force people to do the content, which makes them hate the content more. I think that's what happens.
The interviewer here was campaigning for more unicorns, and he says, well, there is one. There's a unicorn mount. It was really funny because we were joking with our art director, because in the original interviews when we launched, he was like, yeah, we're not going to do anything crazy like unicorns. And then the shop there showed up an armor that added a horn to the horse and made it a unicorn, basically. This last question...
So that means that, like, probably they're going to make a, like a Dodge Challenger mount for, like, Season 8 or 9. Like, whenever they've pretty much, like, scraped the bottom of the barrel, and they've got to come up with new stuff. And then, like, maybe for the expansion, after the expansion falls off, they can just make Lilith a mount instead.
He asked him, he says, what had been his most rewarding moment and most challenging in his 4 years of residency? And this breakdown here says, I think my most challenging moment is what the company has gone through in 4 years I've been here. It's well documented. I don't need to bring it back up. But that's just been hard to see. That was challenging. I guess it kind of feeds into what has been the most rewarding too, with all that. And you add a pandemic on top of it, and the fact that we are still able to come together as a team to launch Diablo IV the way we did. Then he finishes off by basically saying he's grateful to be part of the launch, and it's been really exciting, etc. for him. He does say one thing, which is, as we get ready for the expansion later in the year. So he is talking.
So this shit's coming out in 8 months? They're already putting out an expansion? Yeah, damn.
About them, planning obviously for the expansion of Vessel of Hatred that's already been mentioned. So we do have that coming sooner rather than later. And we will see how good it is on arrival. But as of right now, I got to go live. So I will see you on the live stream. You can click on the link down below in order to join as we play some hardcore today. Love you all, and I'll see you on the live.
There it is.
Google has now fired 50.
I mean,
there was an...
I feel like it's very early for an expansion, man. Like, especially because, like, the expansion price. I mean, like, how many... Does anybody genuinely think that there will not be an expansion bundle that goes over $100? Because there's going to be. I know it, you know it, everybody knows it. And maybe it will be not... Maybe it will be only $100, or it'll be $99.99 or something like that, right? I don't know, guys. I'm just... Again, if the new season content is really good, and the systems work well, and the itemization changes really hit, everything else is forgiven. I don't care. It's the same as PoE. I don't give a shit. PoE wants to add in a new fucking $400 bundle? Fine. Go ahead. Is the game good? It's good? Then I don't care. The only real reason, so a good game, yes, that's the only thing I genuinely care about. PoE is free. PoE is free. I understand that. I do also understand that it's a $70 game. That's a lot of money. I think that it is reasonable for them to ask people to pay for, like, cosmetics and stuff like that for the ongoing development of the game. I think that's reasonable, especially, like, this far into it. Now, also, like, everybody, you should make, if you disagree with me on that, don't buy the game. I am only giving you my opinion. I think that there are people who don't agree with that. Don't buy it. Totally understood. But that's how I see it. PoE is arguably an $80 game that's free. Yeah, but it's got a really good free trial, doesn't it? I think it's unreasonable to not give good cosmetics that you can get by farming. I totally fucking agree, and I think they need to add them. The game has been out now for almost an entire year. In 1 month, it will have been out for a whole year. There needs to be more stuff in the game. Like, games are just too much nowadays. I think the reason why games are too much is the scope of games is too big. The scope of games is way too big, and because of the large scope of games, then people can never actually just, like, relax and play the game. They have to worry about, like, achievement systems and, like, the over-design and everything. Like, I think that's why games like Pal World and Shrouded, Helldivers 2, Vampire Survivors, a lot of these games that are, like, a lot cheaper, but they offer, like, a very uniform like, slice of an experience. I think that's why those games are so popular. It's because people don't want to play all the time. That not everybody wants to play a 1,000-hour forever game that's this, like, massive blockbuster. And I think that's what every developer's trying to do, is they're trying to make that forever game that's a blockbuster that everybody plays, like Witcher 3 or like Cyberpunk or like I don't know. I could think of like 5 or 6. Fortnite, yeah, something like that. Fortnite, WoW, yeah, Skyrim, yeah. It's you just can't do that, man. I think it's just like a matter of a vibe. I'll link you guys the video. Give it a like. This is a good one. I mean, I agree with his perspective, but you know, I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens. What really matters more than anything is if they can just nail down the gameplay. If they nail down the gameplay, everything else is okay.